So some of the market analytics that you would get from Business Decision include the ability to analyze your market, basically qualify and quantify your customer base. And through the reports that we run, you can see how much money people are spending on specific products in that area. And I'm going to show you that actually. You can assess the risk. Before you go out and start a business, and we were just talking about this, you should figure out if there's money being spent on that in that area, or if you're setting yourself up for failure. So basically, Business Decision, the information that you're gathering is helping them make an informed decision. We're not there to tell them, no, that's a bad idea, but it's to give them as much information as possible to be successful in going into the adventure of starting a business. Develop business, positioning, and marketing strategy, and then have the ability to communicate with and reach their market. And then some of the data that you will find through the reports that you can run are, simple demographic data, consumer expenditure data, which is how much is spent by household, and like I mentioned, it shows you specifically what people are spending money on. Tapestry market segmentation data, and again, the segmentation is like by groups, telling you where people shop, what they have in common, how to market to specific areas depending on what they have in common. Census 2010, as well as a current year estimate, they update the database every July, so you'll have your census information, the current year, as well as a 5-year forecast. And then, as I mentioned, it's updated annually in July. Okay, so what can you find in Business Decision? What I did today was try to tweak this so that it's relevant to you, people that live in Mesquite and have businesses here. So I started a project in Business Decision. Can you go back to the database now? Yeah, okay. So once you go into the library's website and you go into our databases, this is what the opening screen looks like. You can do an express login if you want to play around and just look at it, but I would always suggest setting up an account, which is the one on the right. You just put in a username and password, set it up, and it's really easy to get back into. Because once you start a project, go ahead and click on it to log me in. It saves it in here. Oh, it's okay. It saves it in, you can continually go in and out and play with the same project and same reports that are run. Okay, so what I did today was choose the Eureka Casino address. And when I went in there, I set the parameters to do my reports as 0.5, 1 mile, and 1.5 miles from this specific address, okay? And so all of the reports that I ran would show information based on those 3 distances from here. In Vegas, I typically do 1, 2, and 3, but I got more information by keeping it smaller here because it's not as big. Okay, so some of the reports that I chose to run, and again, there's probably 40 different reports. And I'm going to walk you through each of these just to give you a sense of the kind of information you can pull out. I did thematic maps, Census 2010, demographic and income profile, retail goods and services, and then the tapestry profile. So the first report that I ran is called the thematic maps. And basically what that means is when I chose those other 4 reports, in the background they were running them, it pulls up this ability to, it gives me that radius. So this is 0.5 miles from here, this is 1 mile, and this is 1.5. And then I can say, okay, based on those reports I ran, tell me in a color-coded sense what it means. So this one on the left, and I know it's kind of hard to see, shows you families by income base. So it gives you a scale of how much people are making. The red, obviously, are the areas that people by household make more money. And again, this to me is not as populated, so that's part of why it's red. And then I said, okay, I'm going to save that. You can save that map, you can print it out and use it in your business plan or whatever. Then I was like, you know what, let's look at how much people spend by household on healthcare expenses. You could say how much people spend on pets, how much they spend on whatever. And it populates it into a map. So you can see in a color-coded sense how much people are spending on things. You could set it to population. Whatever information you pull from your reports, you can put into a map form. Okay? So that's really cool. And they're formatted in PDF. They're really nice. Like you can print them right out and stick them in any, and it's very professional looking. Next, I ran Census 2010. So some of the information I pulled out of that were the population within 0.5 miles of here, 825 people. If you stretch that to a mile and a half, we're up to 9,091 people. And you can also, like, census information breaks it down by race, sex, income, age, and size of household, as well as other information. One thing that jumped out to me was, did you know that 66% of people that live within a mile and a half from here are owner-occupied, not rentals? Judy wasn't surprised when I told her that because she said there's not a lot of apartments right around here. But it's just by looking at that information, you can get a sense of the community and, you know, like basically how people live. And then I just did a quick screenshot just to give you a sense. Like, this is how the report comes up. It's really easy to read, really nice to print. You could throw that into whatever. And again, this is just the very first part of one of the reports. Breaks it down and it shows you by race, by sex, by age, everyone that lives here. And again, it goes by the 0.5, 1 mile, and 1.5 mile radius. So that was just one report. Next report I ran was the demographic and income profile. And every time you run this one right here gives you a comparative data of how much income people make in this area as compared to the state, as compared to the country, and in a pie chart manner as well. In this report, that's what I was talking about, it looks at the census information for 2010, the current year, as well as a 5-year forecast. So if Mesquite's, you know, predicted to grow quite a bit, or, you know, people are predicted to make a lot more money, that's going to show up in this report, and you're going to be able to see that. Okay. And this is just another example of the way it looks. And, you know, again, as I mentioned, there's your 3 columns that are going to show you the census 2012 as well as a 5-year forecast, as well as how much they make by household, annual rates, and that's just the first part of the report.